Hi guys, as I said I would be back. I am now going to cover the first and second chapters as far as the important content for your textbook and for this class. So the very first chapter obviously is chapter 1. It is talking about what is public relations. I actually walked through the Canvas with you over the last quick video. I talked about how everything is in my modules. Your PR project, I have not released it yet. I will by your class time, so it will be there and available. But I ask, please, 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 please do not go ahead with a lot of these. I'm going to have very specific submissions for you for each one of them. But this is what it looks like. Your actual one component of your big project is your press kit. And again, you're going to take, I don't know where you are as far as the marketing. I guess I'm going to get more of those when you respond to your discussion questions. But the one component of marketing, Marketing 223 and Marketing 222, one of them is your marketing plan, which is all of it together. One is IMC, which is integrated marketing communications, as to how we pull all of the components together to sort of convey feeling and build relationships with our actual customers, our targets. So, and then obviously you had Marketing 121, which is the basics. That's the terminology. That is the construct of marketing in and of itself. That is applying names and terminology to everything within marketing, like understanding the difference between consumers, the people who actually use the products, versus targets, those folks who are actually purchasing or buying the products, and recognizing how they're different. In my classes, we talk about things like toys. Since we're nearing Christmas, toys are a really good one, because we talk about the consumers in most situations are those that utilize the products, right? And targets are those that buy the products. So our targets would probably be mom or dad. But when it comes to toys, toys are something completely different, because toys, if we target children, they will target. They will then forward on to mom and tell them how they can't live without this absolute toy. So targets and consumers get a little shifted in that area. We also talk about things like STP, segmenting, looking at all the different personas and the different people that could potentially use our products. We talk about targeting, where we're actually going to focus all of our advertising. We talk about the 4 Ps, price, product, place, promotion. We talk about, my gosh, there's so much content in 121, it's not even funny. And then we actually talk about positioning ourselves, how we set ourselves up, what platform, what media do we actually find ourselves engaging in to reach that particular target. So here we get to do the fun stuff. This is the fun stuff that most people think of when they think of marketing. So I'm happy in a way, because this is like the culmination class for you, because Marketing 224 is the fun one. This is the one where we get to do business cards. We get to do PSAs. PSAs are my favorite. We do business cards, letterheads, envelopes, brochures, flyers, posters, newsletters, press releases. We're going to even do social networks. Now, again, if you've done these for other classes, I'm sure Marketing 121 had you doing, you can utilize the same thing and just change up the name. I don't really care that much, and we'll talk about that as we get into it. You're going to plan an event, and then you're going to talk about how your customer service is for this particular product. So we'll talk about that as we get into it. I just wanted to show you what it was and what kind of things that we're going to be doing in this class. I was talking about the pros and the cons. The pros are that this is the fun class. The cons is that you're all online. So this is usually something we do a big deal, and we have our tables all set up fancy. We get table covers, and I go up to the dollar store and buy table covers. Everybody works as teams. Clearly with the pandemic, we can't do that. You can't be working in teams, and there's technically only 4 of you in the entire class, so you'll be doing solo projects. So we're gonna scale it down a bit, but you must do all of these components. So rather than having a big culminating event at the end, we can't. So we instead I'll have submissions on Canvas as we go along. After we talk about it, I'll give you a day or 2, or maybe even 4 or 5 days to construct it and perfect it. Send me examples, send me rough drafts, and then send the actual thing, and we will grade it as it goes along for that each component. So that's the PSA portion, or that's the press kit portion of it. We're gonna do PSAs, we're gonna do things like newsletters and news releases and talk about the differences. We're gonna just do some fun stuff here. It looks really intimidating. I promise it's not. That's why there's a lot, because I believe in walking you through every single step of the way. Like the very first portion of it, and again, this is all on Canvas under the project information tab. So the first one is just selecting. You're going to select a product to sell. It could be any product that's already out there. All I want you don't have to really worry for the moment, of all the other stuff, because we're gonna walk you through each one of these sections. But select a product that I know that most of you have gone out shopping, or you've been looking for online, some sort of product that you think would be interesting to research, how they came up with it, something that's gonna be big, something that you could sell either domestically here in the United States or internationally. It's just gotta be one product though. I'm not looking for you to look into a particular company. We will be examining it a little bit further, but I want one product. It could be any product, business professional. It could be almost any product on the market. Pick out one individual product, and that's pretty much, I'm gonna have that on its own assignment due Monday as well. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, but this is just literally walking you through, and that's gonna be your sales pitch portion of this. So again, this is on here. Take a look at it. I've even included my rubric, because that is the second portion. Again, the first portion is going to be the press kit. The second is going to be doing the sales presentation. So you're going to be giving us a pitch or a sales presentation for one product. So all that information that's on here, you're going to be putting into a PowerPoint or a Google Slides presentation to give to us at the end of the class. And that is your culminating project. A side project, again, we usually have a lot of time here where people can work into groups and things like that, but because of the pandemic, we really can't do that. So what I've got going on this session for every one of my classes, I try tying it into every single class I have. I'm also teaching 2 IT courses, and what I settled on, especially during this time, because we've had a lot of people that are really stressed, money's tight, family issues are going on, a lot is happening personally to people, business-wise, all sorts of things are going on right now. So I find it interesting to know your why. I want to understand, and so over the next 3 or 4 weeks, we are going to work on a project that is centered on finding your why. For some of you, that might be very clear what your why is, and we will explain what your why means over a period of time. But the first portion that we're really delving into is your homework today. Your homework today is going to talk about something that is really interesting, and I found quite an interesting read. I read this in a journal article probably about 2 years ago, and it fascinated me. We have this thing called Ikigai. It is called Ikigai. That's exactly how you pronounce it. And it talks about your reason for being. That's a Japanese term for your reason for being. What is basically essentially your why. They have these 4 different portions, and I've got an article that I'm going to release underneath in Canvas for you. It explains probably a little bit better than I am, but again, it's just this one portion for you really to look at and say these 4 questions. What is it that you love? What are the things that you really like to do? What is your passion? What the world needs? What is it that the world needs? What you can be paid for. So what is it that you think you do well enough to be paid for? And then over here, what are you good at? So those 4 things all combined, literally combined, should give you in there somewhere along the way a similarity. What I mean by that, let me show you an example of it. Again, this is the next slide on here. It talks about happiness will come from the combination of confidence, autonomy, belonging, creativity, impact. So you want to start over here in number 1, what the world needs. So it says, don't leave it to chance. Start by figuring out what the world needs. If you have a rare and valuable skill and you're solving an important problem, money will follow. Explore and develop rare or valuable skills that make the world better. Become so good that they can't ignore you. Happiness will come from the combination of confidence, autonomy, belonging, creativity, and impact. So here is one all done. I wanted to give you one solid example of what an Ikigai is all put together. So if you're looking at those things saying, what is on God's green earth is she talking about? That's what I would be saying. Okay, so I want you to basically make quick little lists in your head, what the world needs. And the first things that come to mind, I don't want you to think for 10, 15, 20 minutes about it. I want you to think of the first thing when you ask that question, what does the world need? I know you're all out there after this last year of craziness. This has been our craziest year that I've ever been alive. I know there are things out there that you know that we need. Security, safety, but they've got right here what the world needs: liberty, dreams, compassion, knowledge, positivity, respect. So just put those lists off to the side. And it says, then again, if we just keep going, I guess from right to left, what I love. What are the things that you love? He's got up here traveling, resolving issues, video games, spirituality, things like that. Then over here, what am I good at? Listening to people, web design, advising, coaching, being positive, being calm, teaching, finding solutions, understanding people. Then he's got what I can be paid for. So we've got making websites, web consulting. So these would all be different and unique to you. What your visions are for the world, what particular things you love, what are you good at, and what can you be paid for. So if you start to look at them, you start to pull them all together out of each one. We've got teaching, we've got traveling, we've got helping people grow. So they've got these all together with teaching, coaching. So what I love, what I'm good at, what the world needs, what I could be paid for. And you usually find something in the middle that comes from every single one of them. And that's where you really, so his Ikigai is traveling, coaching, and teaching, because those all kind of come together with kind of all 4 of them. So I'm really simply looking for you to basically make me 4 little lists real quick and kind of try to find a similarity or a stomping ground, if you will, in the middle of some of those things that might tie together in the middle, some of those things that might be really super similar. Something smack dab in the middle between all of these that has a universal fit that tells you might have a purpose for one point and another for this. And again, this is usually tied to working and or your personal life. We're going to go on next. For the next part of your why assignment, I have a video and I will release that on, again, when this class is done, I will release that for the next session. That's under class 2, which will also have you going exploring some questions, very specific questions as to what type of things are important to you, meaning like family, travel, things tied to this, but a little bit of different format for those questions. So this is your first homework assignment. Again, don't overthink it. Just try to make some list out and find a middle ground in there somewhere. I'm not worried about a drawing particularly or anything like that. I'm worried about the different questions, the different things it's going to ask you. Read over the article and just make the list for me if you can and will. And it's called Ikigai, and let me know if you can find anything right smack dab in the middle that it kind of points to all 4 directions. So let's talk about the actual content of the class itself. So we've got public relations. So most people say, what is public relations? Okay, it's advertising. Not really. Advertising and public relations are 2 different things, and we'll get to that in the next slide or 2. But public relations, and this is a mouthful, so be cautious on this one. It says it's the practice, the art of science of analyzing trends, predicting their consequences, counseling organizational leaders, and then implementing those planned programs of actions, which will serve both the organization and the community, the public interest. It's really about building, essentially it's about building a bridge between your company and its public. And we'll talk about that, of what do you mean by its public, its community. We will talk about that. So again, if you look at that and you break that apart, it's analyzing. We're going to analyze what type of trends that we have going on. We're going to predict consequences, right? So if I do this, what will happen? If I do this, what's going to happen? I mean, they might be positive consequences. They might be negative consequences. Contemplate some of the things that you've heard in the media recently. Southwest Airlines, United Airlines, with people, airline stewardess dragging off people bloody off their planes because of seating problems. Think of the PR nightmare that is for most companies. I guarantee you United had a heavy hit on their sales of plane tickets after that. And then the last portion of that was the counseling. So we actually have to counsel and we have to convince our leaders. PR professionals, what type of traits do we look for? We look for integrity, somebody that wants to learn something different and new every single day. We need somebody that wants to drive trust, wants to gain trust, and that's the main component they have there. Somebody that writes well, right? It says something and it sends a media message if you have bad spelling or bad grammar. Somebody that's all about the details, somebody that likes to solve problems before they happen, an interpreter of fact and a clarifier of complexity. I love that one. Resourcefulness, and somebody that wants to immerse themselves in the community. So I told you there's a difference. There's a huge difference between advertising and publicity. Publicity I could get for free. Advertising costs me a lot of money. Advertising is very expensive. If you remember back in Marketing 121, we talked about advertising and why we target specific people. Why? The reason why we have the STP and the T part of it is to target. We have to target all of our efforts to advertise to 1 or 2 particular groups because advertising is extraordinarily expensive. Contemplate TV commercials. Just one TV commercial in a Super Bowl is probably $10 million. So we don't have a lot of money for the most part. I mean, marketing campaigns make up a large portion of the budget, but still for an up and coming company, you don't have a lot of money to waste right off the bat. So your marketing budget might be very scaled back, to say the least. So publicity I can get for free. Advertising is costly. Publicity I can get for free. I can build relationships for absolutely free. So advertising focuses on the products and services, whereas publicity focuses on the relationships and that image building. I'm actually going to build the image for my company. I'm actually going to build the image for the product itself. Advertising creates social media marketing campaigns. Again, expensive campaigns. I'm paying for this and that's what I'm doing. Publicity is that relationship. I'm actually going to build relationships with the media outlets. What do I mean by media outlets? Facebook, Instagram. I'm going to build that relationship that people are automatically coming to me. I'm going to build those channels and networks within the social media to build in and of itself where they come to see my product, where my customers, my targets will actually go to see what I've got on sale, what I've got here, what I've got next month, what I've got coming up. We can actually build a conversation with our customers. Advertising, we design logos and collateral items. Publicity, we pitch stories. That's what you're going to be pitching. You're going to be pitching a sales pitch, and we're going to talk about what an elevator pitch is, because that's pretty much what you're going to be doing. You're not going to be doing 30 seconds or less like a true elevator pitch, but you are going to be doing a sales presentation, a full sales presentation. So we're going to talk about pitches. But you're going to pitch a story or upcoming event to a newspaper, blog, and news outlet. Advertising is paid media to reach customers. It costs money, but it's controlled by the marketing department, right? Where earned media, it's free. Not the negative, it's free, that's the pro. The con there is that that outlet or that media source controls the message. You control the message, but it can distort it one way or another. And we'll talk a little bit about more of that when we get into that. Again, just cute little graphics, I guess, on the differences here. Again, we have advertising creates the material, public relation informs. We're going to build relationships and inform. Again, PR, we've earned it. Media controls content, not expensive. We've got validation. It's written, needs to persuade. We've got to get them to do something. And it's all about that brand. Advertising is visual, paid, expensive, complete control. My marketing team creates the content, and that's that. And it's placed exactly like it is. This is just talking about who our actual, when we talk about the P, remember I talked about the public, and what does it mean for your public? So we have public relations. What's the P in public? We're talking about who your public is. Who is it that we're sending this message to? So we've got I've broken it up into internal, inside within your own organization, right? Who's your public? Your management, your staff members, your employees, your stockholders or shareholders. Remember, they're owners of the company at that point in time. And your directors, your board of directors, right? So external, outside of the company, you have customers. These are direct, right? You have customers, sales reps, traders, distributors, suppliers, competitors. We have a direct connection to them. They are directly our public. Indirect is institutions, outside institutions, our competitors, potential customers, potential investors, financial community, the banks, governments, and just your community in general. I remember seeing something on Home Depot before Home Depot even came into our area years ago. I remember them, I was in high school at that point in time, and we were talking about a marketing class, and Home Depot was one of the top folks that went in and did Habitat for Humanity. So they actually, that's PR right there, is that you can take a company and get a good feeling about that company because they care and help their community by not doing what it is that they make for money. Again, they sell stuff to repair your homes and home improvement stuff. That's what Home Depot is. So they have direct sales. Whereas if they invest in their community and they go out and their employees are helping to better their community, that shares a super good message about that company in and of itself and in general. So that's what we mean by who is your potential public, because we can be affecting that for free because people just gave up their Saturdays or their Sundays to go out and help people and be good, decent human beings, but that projects good publicity on the company as well. And I remember that years later. Chapter 2, again, just a few pages, is literally just a couple of little things that I want to talk about. We do have, as writing for public relations, we do have to be ethical. And what are kind of the things that we need to be ethical about? And it skipped right past it, sorry. We have to worry about honesty. We have to worry about writing something that is accurate, honest, and I've got it in here somewhere. Maintaining personal standards, we have 4 choices. Sorry, I'll get back to that because I've got it on another slide. So I have 4 choices. So this is basically saying in your textbook, if you've read through it, it says, what happens if you're working on an assignment and you don't agree with the assignment? It goes against your personal values. Got it up here, I think. So what happens when you are asked to write, say, or do something that conflicts with your own moral standards? Your textbook and the world of public relations says there's 4 choices. That you can educate, which means that you actually go out there and try to explain your side of it. Again, there's aggressive and assertive. Educating would be assertive, going out and saying, hey, I can't stand for this. There's a better way to do this. And here's the pros, here's the cons. Let's make an educated choice. You can educate, you can refuse. This you have to be cautious of. You guys are all working professionals, or you will be working professionals. When you refuse something, you've got to be cautious. You got to make choices inside your head, right? There's trade-offs for everything. If you go up and your boss says, here, I need you to do this, and you say no. Again, there's lots of choices that go on behind the scenes, but you just really have to contemplate, is your job worth it? Because if you refuse to do something, they can terminate you for insubordination for the most part. Almost all companies now are at will. So if you refuse to do something, they can terminate you. People think they can't be terminated. Again, my degree is I have an MBA with a concentration in HR management. Most companies now are at will. They can terminate you for almost anything. But refusing to do what you are ordered to do can be grounds for termination. Absolutely, for sure it can be. So refusing it comes with a consequence. Just be very clear about that one. Requesting reassignment, you could ask, hey, I don't feel comfortable to do this. It kind of goes against my moral values, but can I be reassigned? And given the particular case or whatever it is that you're doing, that might be an option for you. And then the last option is really to, even though it goes against your standards and your morals and your values, you can suck it up and be a team player and do it regardless. Even if it, again, and I think it's sad, but this is how most folks end up. You really got to weigh out your options and say, is it worth refusing, or should I just do it? I know that it's against my morals or my values, but I've got to have a job. I've got to have food on the table for my children. So you weigh in with the pros and the cons and what is the best option. Can you afford to lose your job? So it says, even if you are opposed to it, taking the assignment labels you as a team player, it might be better in your job for the long run. It might be a stepping stone to a better position where you won't have to be worried about making those tough decisions. So got that. Again, this was what I was talking about back 3 or 4 slides ago. So our standards, our values, right? Accuracy. I want to have accuracy. I want to be reporting something correctly. I want to be honest. Don't lie. I want to be fair. Play it both sides. Don't be slanted. Don't be biased. Don't provide false information and misleading information. And I've got this one specifically because I saw this in People magazine. That's my my one bad trait, or one of my bad traits. And I saw this, and you've got some media outlets, and this is the exact same moment from different perspectives. And this is how your media slants things, so you've got to be cautious about it. So your media's over there, and one magazine reported Prince William here as flipping everybody the bird. And of course, that's negative public relations and negative connotation, right? If he's out in public and he's a public servant and he's flipping people off, whereas you look, he's actually doing a this type thing, but they can't see it. See how it shifts over to the side and it looks like he's flipping it off instead of this way. So it's all about perspective. Don't be misleading, even if you know the truth and it's not a lie, but it just the perception of something is a little bit off. So those are the kind of standards of practices that we should have in public relations writing. And that is it. So your homework is the Ikigai, your chapters 1 and 2 with those simple slides are done. So that should take you to Monday for 1 and 2. And then probably Friday, I will have all your stuff up for Friday, ready to roll Wednesday night by 10 p.m. If you have any questions at all, send me an email. My email is debmiller@jbc.edu, and I will be sure to respond. Otherwise, I will probably send the next videos from me personally on Monday night. Welcome to the class, guys, and thank you for watching the video, and let me know if you have any questions. Stay safe. Bye, guys.